Hello there and welcome to Songs of Praise from the northeast of Northern Ireland and County Antrim's spectacular Causeway Coast. This landscape has been celebrated by poets and artists in words and in colour. This is creation at its most breathtaking and its most inspiring. In this week's Songs of Praise, we meet three people whose work is influenced by the beauty of this landscape. One of Ireland's most respected painters, a journalist turned novelist, and a worship leader whose own songs are sung all around the world. Perched high on Garran Point, just outside the village of Carnlough, is this magnificent building, St Killian's College. As the pupils move from class to class, they have great views. They've got sweeping hills on one side, coastline on the other, and with hymns reflecting the beauty of creation, our congregation has gathered in the school's chapel to sing "From All That Dwell Below the Skies." Welcome to Glenarm, family home for the Earls of Antrim. Hector MacDonald was born here, the youngest son of the Earl and Countess. Despite having spent his formative years studying at Eton and Oxford, Hector is very much at home here. Not surprising really, because this has been the family seat for 500 years.
I was born down the road in the castle and was brought up there until I went away to school. My mother was a sculptor, so I spent a lot of my childhood in what had been the old kitchen of the castle and was now her studio. And I had a big brother and a sister, and they were both art students, so I received most of my artistic education from my family, and we all worked together in the same studio. That was one side of it. On the other side, you might say, there was the grand side of a castle life, and there was a butler and the rest of a sort of staff that you might expect in such a place. And that in its own way was magical. It seemed to be perfectly normal, but it was, of course, sort of highly unusual. My mother was a very staunch Catholic, and she played the organ and did an enormous amount of sculptures, in fact, not only for this church, but for a lot of other churches. I think there is a very big place for faith. But we have to find our way again, I think. And I spend a lot of time reading about the origins of Christianity and trying to work out what my relationship is to it. But it's a sort of personal journey, and we all need to be in it. My painting is undoubtedly very strongly connected to my sense of the human spirit, and a large part of my philosophy is that each of us makes magic, makes something beautiful out of what is around us. There was somebody who said to me once that most of us, we only manage to see the world like this once in a lifetime, and that's when we fall in love. But here you are doing it every day. And I think that was actually about the truest thing that's been said about me, in a sense, is that my painting is about just looking into a shop window and seeing somebody proudly arranging bits of meat or the vegetable or something. There's just little bits of poetry that are being said by people everywhere around us. We all have a sense of place, or at least we should have a sense of place. And for me, I have a very, very strong sense of being part of this landscape. There was an occasion when I was living in London and I was sort of very unhappy, and I thought to myself, it's just a thought that came into my head, if I was with my own rocks and my own sea, I'd be content. And it was perfectly true.
There are 9 glens of Antrim, and heading north from Glenarm you come to Glendun, and here the picturesque village of Cushendun. Now this village has changed little over the years. It's still peaceful, unspoilt, it's welcoming, it's homely, and it's a familiar landscape for the journalist and novelist Roisin Macaulay.
There have been Macaulays in the glens for centuries, really, and my parents, my grandparents, and their parents are all buried here in the glens. We grew up in Cookstown, and when we were small, one of the great Sunday excursions was down here, and we would visit farms run by my two uncles and then another uncle who was an artist, and I have very, very vivid memories of that time, and I feel a terrific connection here. I still have a lot of family in this area. My sister lives here in Cushendun. My cousins live between Cushendun and Cushendall. I set my second book partly in this area, and I loved doing that because I had a great sense of being in it. And in fact, I wrote a little bit of it when I was here staying in my sister's house and looking out on this absolutely fantastic view. I don't think my faith overtly affects what I write, but I think in some ways the big questions, and they're faith questions of course, about what is life about and why are we all here, I include or write about in some way in my books. I'm not writing big serious literature, I'm writing commercial literature, but I hope I'm writing books that connect to the reader in some deeper way. The question I find really difficult to answer is, why do some ideas stick in my head and insist on being there and say, you know, I'm going to be a story, tell me, and others don't. And I think it must be something to do with influences from early life, from images that are formed very early on that find connections somewhere. I can remember being brought down for the Corpus Christi procession in June, and that was a big event in the village, and I just remember the procession and banners and the monstrance and it being carried by the priest and people following. The book I'm writing at the moment has characters in it who are on pilgrimage. I'm fascinated by the fact that we live in a terrifically secular age, and yet the notion of pilgrimage is more popular than ever. And I wonder if it's the fact that we get away from all the noise and the bustle and the distractions of life and we're planted right back into nature. And also there's a wonderful sense of being connected to the kind of whole history of Christendom.
People